Hello everyone. Today I would like to discuss the topic mental health check-ins in social work. This is absolutely essential in the field of social work, but is often overlooked. The importance of regular mental health check-ins for social workers themselves. Today we'll be discussing why worker well-being matters, addressing burnout and turnover, supporting ethical and effective practice. Social work is deeply meaningful and rewarding work. Every day, social workers advocate for vulnerable populations, respond to crisis, support families, and help individuals navigate trauma and systematic barriers. However, the very nature of this work exposes social workers to high levels of emotions, stress, secondary trauma, and burnout. Because of this, prioritizing mental health is not optional. It is a professional necessity. The reality of social work. Emotional demanding profession, frequent exposure to trauma and crisis, and high responsibility for vulnerable populations like we just discussed. Mental health check-ins are intentional moments where social workers pause to assess their emotional, psychological, and physical well-being. These check-ins can be informal, self-reflections, or structured supervision conversations. The goal is simple but powerful: to notice stress early, process difficult experiences, and maintain professional effectiveness. What are mental health check-ins like we discussed? International self-assessment of well-being. 2, can be formal or informal. Or 3, helps identify stress early. One major reason mental health check-ins are so important is a high risk of burnout in social work. Burnout often develops gradually and can include emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, and reduced feelings of accomplishment. Without regular self-awareness, many social workers push through stress until they reach a breaking point. Routine check-ins help catch warning signs early, such as chronic fatigue, irritability, compassion fatigue, or feeling emotionally numb. Risk of burnout. Like we discussed, emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, and reduced sense of accomplishment. Closely connected to burnout is the well-documented high turnover rate in the social work field. Many agencies, especially in child welfare and community mental health, struggle to retain staff. Research and workforce reports consistently show that emotional exhaustion, overwhelming caseloads, and lack of adequate support are major contributors to social workers leaving their positions or the profession entirely. High turnover has serious consequences. When experienced social workers leave, agencies lose valuable knowledge and continuity of care. Clients may experience repeated disruptions in services and relationships, which can be particularly harmful for vulnerable populations who already face instability. Remaining staff often absorb larger caseloads, which can further increase stress and create a cycle of burnout and turnover. Regular mental health check-ins can serve as an early intervention tool to help interrupt this cycle. When workers and supervisors routinely monitor stress levels, they are better able to identify when support, workload adjustments, or additional resources are needed. While check-ins alone cannot solve systematic workforce issues, there are important protective factors that can improve retention and promote workforce sustainability. High turnover in social work, like we discussed. Burnout is a major drive of staff leaving. Heavy caseloads and emotional strain contribute, and turnover disrupts client care and team stability. The impact on clients and agencies: loss of experienced workers, interrupted client relationships, and increased workload for remaining staff. Another critical factor is secondary traumatic stress. Social workers frequently hear detailed accounts of trauma from clients. Over time, this exposure can impact workers' own mental health, sometimes in ways that mirror post-traumatic stress symptoms. Mental health check-ins create space to process this experience instead of carrying them silently. This is especially important in fields such as child welfare, crisis response, medical social work, and domestic violence services. Mental health check-ins also directly impact the quality of care provided to clients. When social workers are overwhelmed or emotionally depleted, it becomes harder to remain present, empathetic, and ethically grounded. Self-monitoring is actually part of ethical practice. The NASW Code of Ethics emphasizes the responsibility of social workers to maintain personal well-being in order to serve clients effectively. In other words, taking care of yourself is part of taking care of your clients. Like we discussed, secondary traumatic stress, indirect exposure to client trauma, it can mirror PTSD symptoms and requires intentional processing and support. There are several practical ways social workers can rebuild regular mental health check-ins into the routine. First is structured self-reflection. This might include journaling using a simple weekly scale for stress or asking reflective questions like, how am I feeling after this week? What cases are staying with me? What do I need right now? Second is supportive supervision. Quality supervision should include not only case management, but also emotional processing. Supervisors play a key role in normalizing conversations about stress and helping develop coping strategies. Third is peer support. Social work can feel isolating, especially in high-stress environments. Informal check-ins with trusted colleagues can promote validation and reduce feelings of isolation. Fourth is intentional self-care. Self-care is often misunderstood as luxury or indulgence, but in social work, it is a professional responsibility. Effective self-care may include setting boundaries around work hours, engaging in regular physical activity, practicing mindfulness, attending personal therapy, or simply ensuring adequate rest. Like we discussed, this looks like structured self-reflection, supportive supervision, peer support, and intentional self-care practices. Organization responsibility, reasonable caseloads, trauma-informed supervision, supportive workplace culture, and access to mental health resources are important. We will now be discussing that as well right here. It is also important to acknowledge systemic responsibility. While individual self-care matters, organizations must also create environments that support worker well-being. Reasonable caseloads, trauma-informed supervision, mental health resources, and supportive workplace cultures are essential. Mental health check-ins should be normalized at both the individual and organized levels. Beyond individual practices, it is important to recognize that meaningful mental health support in social work requires an ongoing cultural shift within the profession. While personal coping strategies and self-care routines are valuable, they are most effective when reinforced by workplace environments that genuinely prioritize employee well-being. Without this broader support, mental health check-ins can become another task on an already overwhelming to-do list, rather than a meaningful protective practice. One important area of growth is the normalization of emotional conversations in professional spaces. Historically, helping professions have sometimes carried an unspoken expectation that workers should be able to handle emotional stress without difficulty. This mindset can discourage social workers from acknowledging that they are struggling, creating a culture where discussing stress, compassion, fatigue, and emotional impact is viewed as professional strength rather than weakness is essential. Leaders and supervisors play a key role in modeling this openness by checking in with staff regularly and responding supportively when concerns are raised. Education and training also play a critical role in supporting mental health fields. Many social workers receive strong preparation in clinical fields and skills and ethics, but may receive limited structured training on managing secondary trauma, setting boundaries, or recognizing early signs of burnout in themselves. Integrating wellness education into both academic programs and ongoing professional development can equip social workers with practical tools before they reach crisis points. This proactive approach is far more effective than waiting until workers are already experiencing severe burnout. Another important consideration is the role of boundaries in protecting mental health. Social workers often enter the field with a strong desire to help others, which can sometimes lead to overextension. Without clear boundaries around workload, availability, and emotional investment, even the most dedicated professionals can become overwhelmed. Regular mental health check-ins provide an opportunity to reassess boundaries and make adjustments when needed. This might include evaluating caseload size, limiting after-hours communication, or ensuring that vacation and personal time are actually used for rest and recovery. Technology and remote work have introduced new dynamics that check-ins even more important. While virtual services have expanded access to care, they can blur the line between personal and work life. Social workers may find themselves responding to emails late at night or carrying the emotional weight of back-to-back virtual sessions without natural breaks. Intentional check-in routines help create moments of pause in an increasingly fast-paced working environment. Finally, it is important to emphasize that sustaining a healthy social workforce benefits not only one individual but entire communities. When social workers remain supported, regulated, and emotionally well, they are able to build strong therapeutic relationships, make sound ethical decisions, and remain in the profession long term. Investing in mental health check-ins is ultimately an investment in service quality, workforce stability, and client outcomes. Before I close, I want to emphasize this. Social workers are often the helpers, the listeners, and the crisis responders, but helpers are still human. Ignoring personal mental health does not make someone more dedicated. It increases the risk of burnout, contributes to workforce turnover, and reduces long-term effectiveness in the field. Regular mental health check-ins allow social workers to remain resilient, ethical, and present for the communities that they serve. By building these practices into our professional culture, we not only protect social workers, we strengthen the entire system. Thank you for listening.